Great.
So, Harry, welcome to Beyond the Title. For some reason, we have had quite a few drummers on the show, including Matthew Priest and Matt Everett, who highlighted the importance of a drummer to a band. Typically, drummers don't usually seek the spotlight, but how do you view your role as a drummer?
Ooh, well, that is a good first question. Well, traditionally, a drummer in a band, obviously, the most important thing is to keep the beat, keep the band in time. But not only that, you set the feel for the band, you set the groove. So when you're going to see a live band, you might notice you find yourself like nodding along, tapping along to the beat. That's obviously down to us drummers. Um, And yeah, I think it's also very important not to be um, too flashy as a drummer. Your job is to kind of the best way to describe it, I think, is to be the backbone of the band. You're the kind of solid backbone, the foundations, if you like, and play a very important role to making the band sound good because it all starts with the drums and the rhythm, and then you build around that. But then also again for being in my situation being in McFly, it's not just about literally being a drummer. I think every individual person in a band plays a role outside of the music and outside of the live performance. And that really depends on personalities. As four members in my band, we all have different personalities, and um, those personalities have to kind of work in different ways when you're dealing with creative decisions, when you're dealing with business decisions, friendship things. So my personal role isn't just being the drummer, it's also I like to think I'm quite good at helping solve problems within the band and maybe being the sort of a good sort of middleman. So yeah, but I think Danny and the Dougie and Tom, they get to be up front and get all the attention, but I'm busy at the back, you know, providing the solid beat.
What was that moment when you realized your potential for stepping out from the drum kit?
Do you know, I never really thought I would have the potential to do that. I think the first time I did that was when I did Strictly Come Dancing, which was in 2011. Um, McFly started in like 2003, 2004. We started having success, I think, in 2004. So for 6 or 7 years, I was very happy being at the back on the drums. Um, yeah, I think Tom, Danny in particular, incredible singers. Dougie had always wanted to be in a band. They'd always wanted to be on stage at the front performing. Growing up, I kind of, I would definitely say I was a bit of a show off. I liked being on stage. I liked doing, school productions. I liked playing sport. I liked, you know, to kind of be in amongst it. But I was never a good enough like singer or anything to be out front performing. So I was quite happy and felt quite privileged to be in this successful band as a drummer. So when Strictly Come Dancing came about, I thought, oh no, no, I don't want to do that because I'm quite happy behind the drums. But I was very glad I did because, I mean, look, Josh, I always backed my moves on the dance floor, but I didn't realize I had the potential to win Strictly Come Dancing. And then from doing that, I've since done, West End show and other dancing shows, and I've really enjoyed that experience because, like I said, I've always been a bit of a show off, and I never thought dancing would be the thing that would give me that chance to be, at the front and not just playing the drums.
Were those like the elements of the show that you found appealing then?
To be honest, no. Like at first, I said no because I was so nervous. I thought, oh my God, I did a children in need special, Strictly Come Dancing special, and it was so terrifying. I didn't really enjoy it, and I thought I'm never doing the main show. That was just so scary. But I kind of got persuaded, and I thought to myself, I don't want to say no to this opportunity. Um, I thought I'd regret it if I don't do it. My mum's always been a big supporter of mine, but she's always encouraged me to go for opportunities. So I thought, you know what, just go for it. Um, and yeah, it was terrifying. I don't think I really started enjoying the performing and the kind of showing off side of dancing until like maybe the semi-final and the final because you know that had a few dances in the final and the semi-final, so you got to sort of settle your nerves a bit. And then so once I was then on stage performing, in the West End, like I really enjoyed that, because the first, number of any, whether you're playing in McFly or on a dancing show is nerve-wracking. But once that first one's out of the way, you relax and then really enjoy the experience. It's different when it's filmed live on TV with like 12 million people watching you. You can imagine that's pretty terrifying.
Oh, oh, a bit of he and in the ocean day the where you clearly see the
So Josh is a bit of a TV anorak, and back in like the 60s and 70s, as like an entertainer and performer, you kind of had to be multi-talented, like more than one string to your bow. So you're required to be a singer, a dancer, comedian, whatever it might be. And Josh was just saying that he thinks Strictly is only one of those only like rare moments these days that people like yourself can go and actually explore those other talents and actually see if you've got another string to said bow.
Yeah, well, I felt very grateful to have the opportunity and for it to have been a success. And again, it was like a lesson to me, a reminder of why you have to push yourself sometimes and you have to go for opportunities, even though you're scared. Don't let fear be the thing that holds you back. That was a kind of another confirmation of that kind of life lesson.
And just talking about like the Strictly schedule is known to be quite grueling because we spoke to previous contestants. What was like a typical week on the show for you like?
Well, I'm quite I get quite obsessive and competitive and let these things consume me. So I was 7 days a week, Josh. At the end of this series, they tallied up the rehearsal time of all the contestants on my year, and I was at the top of the leaderboard for the most rehearsal time done. So yeah, you'd basically you'd have the live show on the Saturday. I'd go in on the Sunday and meet my dance partner Aliona, and we would just do a 2 or 3 hours, just to break the back of the kind of boring bit of the dance, the really slow going through the steps, talking about what the dance was about, and then hopefully by the Wednesday, if I was lucky Wednesday, but sometimes the Thursday morning, I'd start to be able to run the routine fully. And then Friday, you were in the BBC doing a dress rehearsal. Um, so yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday were just, I mean, like, yeah, I'd sometimes go till 8 o'clock at night, 10, 11 in the morning till 8 o'clock at night. Um, some weeks when I found it really hard, particular dances, I'd have to spend longer. I think there was only one dance where I found it not easy, but I found it easier, and I pretty much had the routine down by the kind of Tuesday evening with Wednesday morning. But apart from that, every week was very stressful.
What are your memories of Bruce Forsyth?
Well, we would see Bruce every Saturday, and yeah, look, he was literally as you would witness him on the TV, just charismatic, full of energy, real perfectionist, and obviously just an out and out performer. We were lucky enough to McFly were lucky enough to be the house band for a show that Bruce Forsyth was hosting. Can't remember what it was, and we were. so we had to learn all these extra songs, and he was doing like tap dances, and he was I remember when we were doing the rehearsals of that, he was so so particular about the music and wouldn't stop until it was perfect. And but yeah, he just never stopped. Even when the camera was off, he was always talking to the audience, trying to make them laugh. And yeah, he was an incredible entertainer, and it was a privilege to have worked with him.
House show. Was that the house show with Miranda Hart?
You are an anorak, Josh. That was exactly it. Yeah, very impressed.
Yeah, you're a nerd. Your memory sometimes, Jesus.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so boy bands occupy a significant role in the development of popular culture and have always enjoyed a turbulent relationship with the press. What were the vital lessons that McFly learned from your predecessors which helped to shape a positive rapport with the media?
Good question. I think we were very fortunate with our management. They were very good with us and kept us on a leash. At times we would find that frustrating. I remember, going to like movie premieres and not being allowed to go to the after parties. And but to be honest, I think also, fortunately, the four of us, we were different in a sense that we were all influenced by bands and musicians, and um we weren't really into the sort of clubbing scene. Or I think you're sort of traditional singing, dancing boy band. It was, there was always like sort of R&B, hip hop influences. And I don't know, I think for us, we would go to gigs and things in our spare time, and we would like to go to the local pub, and we would have house parties at our house. So we weren't really ever in those circles where, like other famous people were and paparazzi were and stuff. So we kind of avoided that. And I think naturally, obviously we got up to no good, but none of us really were bad boys. Like none of us really wanted to get caught or be in trouble. So because we weren't hanging around those circles, we sort of, managed to avoid it. And, but like I said, we had very good influence from our management, good influence from, I guess, our families, good influence from each other. And yeah, I think, we were kind of scared of anything bad coming out about us. So we sort of just played it well and just stayed on side with all the press and people in the industry. And even now, 21 years later, there's people who were runners at TV shows or were fans of ours, who are now like important people within TV. And that always pays dividends because thankfully people still want to work with McFly. So that's nice.
Yeah. I'm fascinated by studying trends in music, and around the turn of the new millennium, there was a re-emergence of American punk. How do you think this sparked a reaction which ultimately resulted in Busted and McFly?
Yeah, good question. It definitely influenced Busted and McFly for sure. I think um it's these things happen, it's very strange. I think, not to delve too deep, but I think you take someone like James Bourne, for example, who was at the very birth of Busted. He was, very much into American, pop punk, but he was also grew up listening to boy bands, and he loved, Michael Jackson, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC. So he could have quite easily been in a boy band, but also been in a sort of Blink 182. And I guess Busted is a sort of like a hybrid of the two. Um, and same with Tom, he has a great pop sensibility, um, loved, pop stars, loved boy bands, but also loved Blink 182 and Green Day. So I think naturally, though, because those two were the sort of songwriters in the birth of at the birth of each of those bands, that's very much where the influence came from. And I think that was the sort of music me and Dougie were listening to. And so when we joined McFly, we sort of fit what this had the sort of similar inspirations that Tom had and the similar dress sense, and I think that's why he leaned more towards wanting us in his band. Um, Danny was more old school, like Springsteen and the Who and stuff, but we influenced him and played him all the bands we were into. And yeah, I mean, a lot of like McFly's sort of deep cuts and B-sides and stuff. There's some really kind of heavier, like emo, like pop punk stuff that the general public wouldn't know about. But a lot of our hardcore fans absolutely love that side of McFly. So yeah, that scene had a huge influence on both bands. And yeah, I was very lucky to be part of it.
What's the hardest thing about being in a band?
Oof. So, I don't really think there's anything worth complaining about, particularly when you've been lucky enough to have 21 years of being in a band, because it's such a great job. Um, it's hard really to complain. I think the only thing that sometimes is a bit unsettling, but also I wouldn't have it any other way, is that you you sometimes don't know. It's hard to plan out your year. It's not like a 9 to 5, and I'm grateful it's not. But particularly in this later stage of life, there's four of us. Four of us have different things going on, so you're slightly beholden to each other. Of like, oh, I can't do that right now because I've got this commitment. And although McFly is the beating heart behind everything, I think sometimes I'd like to know what I'm doing. But to be honest with you, I mean, maybe apart from when you sometimes feel like, I don't know, maybe sometimes it's the pressure and the fame, maybe a little bit is a bit, sometimes a bit you just could do without. But again, hard to complain because it's a measure of your success. And so yeah, I find that hard to answer really, because I'm very lucky. I'm very, very lucky.
And who makes them laugh? You're long you know done go back.
Maybe that's the secret of your longevity though, because you're all together for a long time, then you went apart and did your own thing, and then you came back together again, and apart and back together again, It's
Yeah, exactly. I think so. Yeah, I think you have to be very uh sort of understanding of each other's needs and different kind of personalities and stuff. I think that all comes with the maturing process. I think that's where a lot of bands fail and end up breaking up, because just because they can't get on, they can't see eye to eye. There's a lot of freedom in being in a band. If you're in an office environment, you have to behave in a certain way. Whereas when you're in a band, you're kind of, the four of us, we're our own kind of bosses, if you like. So um, yeah, it requires compromise, but like any relationship, any good marriage or friendship or business, it requires compromise. It requires understanding. It requires like evolution of a human, and development of your, like I said, maturity and emotional maturity. And so yeah, I think that's just something you constantly navigate. But ultimately we have so much fun when we're together. Like we laugh, like 95% of the time in McFly is spent just laughing. And that's, I think, what we love about it the most, is that the four of us, we have this kind of, friendship and thing that no one else can really like understand what we've experienced together. And it's a very special bond.
If my memory serves me right, the McFly hit obviously was used as a 2005 official comic relief single. How did this experience offer you insight into the workings of television, which ultimately extended your skill set?
Well, on this odd occasion, I think your memory does not serve you correctly, Josh. It was the song All About You that was the comic relief song.
Hey.
Are you kicking yourself? You knew that, didn't you? You
Yeah.
knew that. Yeah, you knew that.
I knew that as well. I should have revised the question.
Yeah, look, we were so young then, and just a crazy time. We're just going along with everything, following our manager's lead. Just we were so lucky. Everything we did just seemed to go well, and the song was. In fact, I did it on my podcast recently that I do with Alex Jones. It's called Binge, and we had Richard Curtis on as a guest, and he's obviously along with Lenny Henry, the founder of Comic Relief. And I was talking to him about his memories of when we came into his office and played him a couple of songs to sort of see if they would work for Comic Relief, and just everything, the stars aligned for us. We were lucky. Tom just happened to have that song, and it was the perfect sentiment, the perfect song for Comic Relief. We then again we're then just we were out in Africa, on this amazing trip, and we were on TV and just meeting loads of people. Everything was just 100 miles an hour, non-stop, craziness, and you just had to go along with it. It's hard to pick out any sort of memories. It's just the whole thing's just a crazy blur. But it was an amazing experience. And I think without realizing it, like what you alluded to in your question, you just learn as you go. You just learn about being interviewed, you learn about how TV works, you learn about the people in that industry and what people are like, and you're just kind of learning on the job, really.
In 2025, the subject of mental health is a hot topic on both political and social agenda. How important is it for role models like yourself to be open about your mental health and show others that it's okay to open up?
Yeah, I think it's very important because often, people in my position are portraying or trying to portray happiness and success and how great their life is. And I think people look to that and think that's what I want. But ultimately, um, if there's someone in my band, we're very lucky we've got a fan base. And if we open up and talk about mental health struggles for someone that is going through that, I think then they feel like, oh wow, well, if someone that seemingly has everything still struggles with their mental health, then that's okay, that's normal. I'm not any different. I think it could be a very isolating experience having mental health struggles, and you feel like you're the only person going through it. And I think to know that people that you look up to kind of have had those challenges, then it maybe can bring some comfort and hopefully bring some advice on how those people have dealt with their challenges. So yeah, I think it's becoming to a point where it's as talked about as openly as our sort of physical health. Because everyone has mental health, whether it's good or bad, and particularly in today's world, there's a lot of societal pressures and stresses, and the social media stresses, and just the kind of global political situations pretty stressful, and so much for particularly teenagers to kind of wrap their heads around. So it's a very important conversation. It's something that we certainly, me and my wife, have with our children who are 3, 7, and 9. Just that it becomes a normal conversation. Talk about feelings and managing those feelings, and so yeah, it's very important.
So, next question will lighten the mood slightly. Is it true that you once bench pressed Joey Essex?
Oh, do you know? Oh, I've had friends say, Josh, I've got a terrible memory, but it sounds like it could be true. Um, I've definitely bench pressed all my bandmates, that's for sure. Um, yeah, I'm not so strong in these days. I've been more into my marathon running recently, so my strength has had to take a slight downturn. My son is so interested in gladiators and how much people can lift, and he was asking me, "How much can you bench press, Daddy? How much can you deadlift?" And I'm like, "Well, not as much as Nitro, but I can run further than him." which is not very, it's not, my 7-year-old son is not very impressed by that.
Oi.
Josh thinks it was on an episode of Celebrity Juice many years ago.
Yeah, do you know what we did do? We did do an episode with him, didn't we? Yeah, do you know, Josh, I trust you more than I trust your memory more than mine.
Uh, so you mentioned this briefly just a moment ago, but in 2024, you secured your own podcast alongside Alex Jones for the hugely popular Binge. In a crowded market, what do you think it says about the evolution of our consumer habits?
Well, do you know, I was thinking about this just this morning. I was on a run listening to a podcast myself, and I was thinking, I can't see this going anywhere anytime soon because it is such a, a nice medium. It's such a nice way to consume content because you literally got people of interest, that you're interested in your ear talking like on long format. Because everything, in recent years is just becoming clickbait and so condensed and, news headlines are just so short, our attention spans are getting smaller. And so to have content out there where you've got people that you're interested by talking for, half an hour to an hour, whatever it may be, it's such an intimate experience listening to a podcast. If you're on a walk, you're on a run, or you're just cooking, it's a really nice format. So I think yeah, I was sort of when me and Alex started ours, I was slightly dubious, thinking, God, really? Like, is there room for this? Like, there's so many podcasts now, but I think it's such a competitive space because it's such a popular space. It's so enjoyable, and yeah, I think I've really enjoyed the experience. Alex is great. It's like we talk about very what I like to think like relatable things, and so yeah, I don't know. I think probably the same reason you do it, Josh. It's just quite nice to chat to people, isn't it?
Yeah.
So just looking back at all the people you've had on your podcast, which one of those do you think you'd look back and it would be a timestamp for the future?
Hmm. I think I think probably Richard Curtis. Uh, that was a special one for me because he doesn't really do any podcast. He said he hardly goes on and does these things. And afterwards, he made a real point of saying how much he enjoyed it. And that meant a lot to me and Alex. And I think Alex has done a lot for Comic Relief. Obviously, McFly have done their bit. So I think he felt like he wanted to, return a small favor. And yeah, that was the guy is he's an icon of British film, TV and film. And so that'll be something I look back on and feel very proud to have done.
Hey, 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 hey.
Josh has been lucky enough to have Richard on here as well.
Oh, so he does do other podcasts, Josh. He was lying to me.
I'm pretty
Or
sure
maybe Josh, you and I are special. Let's put it down to that, shall
Yes,
we?
yes.
that's it, yeah. I'm pretty sure he did say a similar thing to you though, that
Yeah.
he really doesn't do many things like this.
Yeah.
No, not at all, does he? So your broadcasting skills have been nurtured further by your drive time show and Magic Radio. In your opinion, how does your musical background offer you a different perspective as a broadcaster?
Well, do you know, I think just having, I think said this in an earlier question, is just learning on the job, just years of kind of being in this industry and navigating through interviews. And I kind of just settled into it. I felt like I just sort of had been on so many radio shows. Heard so many radio presenters, and my skills are limited, but I think something I'm mm, good at or happy to do is just talk. Like I'll talk for hours. So and that's basically what it is. You're filling time with like relatively just gentle chat, nothing too intense. I think magic's a sort of perfect tone for me because I'm not interested in doing like current affairs broadcasting or anything controversial. Like it's just nice, light-hearted family sort of entertainment. Just good fun, good music. A couple of really nice presenters I've been working with, and yeah, I've really enjoyed it, and I think it suits me, and yeah, it's basically just talking just random crap for a few hours. I seem to be all right at talking rubbish.
How has your broadcast career changed the way you view your journey with McFly?
Um, I think it's just in that I'm looking or open to those opportunities because McFly isn't, like a full-time thing anymore. It seems to take up maybe on average like maybe 5 months of the year. So I think that's the one area that I could kind of potentially have a side career in. I've not got sort of Dougie's interest in the arts and branding and creating products. I've not got Danny's natural kind of charisma where he's just amazing on primetime TV and sort of obviously a brilliant performer. And Tom's got this um, sort of incredible ability to write songs and books and whereas I kind of I think I found my little corner of entertainment in potentially in broadcasting and radio in particular. So yeah, I hope I could make it part of my future career.
Looking back at your career, what's your proudest achievement?
Proudest achievement. I think probably just all of us, being able to navigate our way through the madness of being in a band for this long and retaining the friendship and just the longevity, I think. Um, yeah, the longevity and the making of the music because it's a big process. We're old school now. We don't just churn out singles and drop songs. We like spend a lot of time on the art, if you will. So then that's a process. It's a big emotional like process. It's a privilege, but it's putting things out there in the world. It's a kind of huge thing and ultimately, like I said, a privilege. But you look back at our like body of work. I think we've done 7 or 8 studio albums, and yeah, I'm very proud of those albums, and hopefully several more to come in the future. So yeah, just being able to maintain our career for this long, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Oh, how can you see it's time the image of the boy from his home.
McFly's what?
Um,
Oh, right. So, just looking at McFly's output as a whole, how do you think it's changed sort of the image of the boy band?
What, us as a boy band or boy bands in general?
so,
Oh, as a genre, sorry. How do you think you've changed?
Yeah, I think what I'm proud of actually is that that McFly busted kind of genre has stayed quite niche. Like, there's not many other bands that fit in apart from McFly and Busted. Plenty of other bands in the noughties tried. There were loads of successful indie bands, but obviously we weren't an indie band. It's so I think we were very much a boy band. We filled the boy band space back then, but I think through our longevity now, I'd like to think we're seen more as just a band, a pop band, rock band, or whatever. Um, and defied a lot of expectations. And because the traditional boy band, it came back around. I think it was maybe JLS were the first band after 4 or 5 years of Busted and McFly domination in that genre. JLS were the first band to come where there was like a new generation of teen fans that were like, oh, and then there was obviously The Wanted and then One Direction, and that boy band phenomenon kind of took off again. But we've managed to sort of continue through that, and I think, yeah, I think we just see us as fitting alongside that sort of unique, unique category, I guess. Like, there's not really many bands like McFly because I understand people would see us in that sort of boy band category, but we're not really because we write all our songs, we play our instruments. If you came and saw us live, I think you certainly, and you didn't know who McFly were, you certainly wouldn't say, "Oh, they're a boy band." So yeah, I think it's quite a unique space to be in.
So just to finish off, what's next for Harry Judd?
What's next for Harry Judd? Literally, school holidays and entertaining 3 children for the next 3 weeks, which is which is one of the most challenging aspects of my life these days. I'm running the London Marathon on the 27th of April, raising money for the Children's Trust, which is a charity that supports children who've suffered brain injuries and supports their family too, supports them through the rehab process. So that's been a big commitment in the past few months, which I've really enjoyed. And then we'll be back into rehearsals. Sorry, go on, Josh.
Josh will be there on the marathon.
Oh yes, all right. Well, give me a big cheer, Josh. I'll look out for you. Hopefully, I'll still be running when you see me.
Josh's sister is running it.
Oh, good for her. Amazing. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. And then we go into rehearsals because we've got summer concerts coming up, like festivals, and believe it or not, we're on the lineup for Download, which is like a metal festival. So that's caused a bit of conversation amongst the Download fans. And then we are going on tour with Busted in September through to November. So yeah, lots of gigs basically.
Yeah. Thank you for your time today. And if you ever do the Isle of Wight Festival again, we'll have to hook up and meet up at some point.
Oh, that'd be amazing. So you're based in Isle of Wight then?
Yeah.
Ah, great. Yeah, yeah. Oh, Isle of Wight was amazing fun. Loads of fun. Okay, well, I'll hold you to that, Josh. I'll hold you to that. And thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for your time. And Josh will let you know once this is all.
You know, when it goes out, it will to oh my, I'm full back.
Josh will let you know when this goes up because you're part of a boy band sort of special season, and it'll be in around June time.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. And yeah, let me know when it's on and I'll do some sharing on my socials.
That's great. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks. Bye for now.
See you guys. Have a good day.